You're listening to Agile Ideas, the podcast, hosted by Fatima Abuchi. For anyone listening out there not having a good day, please know there is help out there. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Agile Ideas. I'm Fatima, CEO at Agile Management Office, mental health ambassador, and your host. This podcast is sponsored by Agile Management Office, providing high-impact delivery execution in an agile era for scaling businesses. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about our win at the Australian Institute of Project Management and the journey to actually securing the win for professional services and project of the year. The reason why I thought this would be a good topic for today's podcast is as we are preparing to ramp down for 2020, I thought that this would be one of two final episodes for the year that I could share some insights, reflections, and learnings. One of those is about winning project of the year for 2020. I'm going to go into a bit more information around how we were engaged with Coles Group, which is Australia's second largest supermarket chain, and then the process of which we started to plan out the project and actually deliver on their requirements, not only meeting their requirements, but actually exceeding them, and how that has helped shape their functions and department moving forward, and as a result has helped us secure the Project of the Year win for 2020. Now, for those of you who may be listening from other sides of the world, the Australian Institute of Project Management, or AIPM for short, is the most recognisable, reputable body for project management in Australia. So as a result, to be awarded a win from such a prestigious organisation is beyond exciting for my team and I. So I'm really excited to dive into this episode talking all things Project of the Year and what actually was it, what did we do, and where do we go next? So talking about the project itself, let me start by giving you a little bit of an introduction to Coles Group. Coles Group is Australia's second largest supermarket chain and has been a household name in Australia for over 100 years. That's a long time. And a few years ago, they were separating from their parent company, Wesfarmers Group, and became listed on the Australian Stock Exchange independently. Coles Group themselves has been making life easier for over 21 million Australian customers who shop with them every single week. 21 million customers every week. That's extraordinary. In late 2018, Coles Group officially completed their demerger from Wesfarmers. Now, as part of their demerger, there was obviously a significant amount of change within their organisation. There were a lot of changes that took place, everything from the overall structure to how they ran their systems to technologies to even people changes. Now, prior to the demerger, Coles used to have a payment arm of their business, an arm or an area of their business known as Coles Financial Services. Now, Coles Financial Services became re-established as Coles Payment Services, and it was a division, a large group of dedicated team members servicing Coles subsidiaries, and their partners. This includes companies like Officeworks, Target, Kmart, etc. Now, what Coles Payment Services does is provides merchant products and services, which means if you go to one of their stores and you want to purchase something, well, their transactions, when you pay with your EFTPOS card or on your credit card, all of the transactions that relate to you being able to purchase from them is taken care of by this specific function. So Coles Group operates their own payments platform, much like a bank would, but effectively do it underneath the Coles Group umbrella. Now, this demerger was quite significant and there was a lot of complexity. There was changes to technology and the delivery model, even the organization's identity, to be part of a parent group and then to be sort of going out on your own, if you like, really does make some significant changes happen. Now, our organization, Agile Management Office, which I work for, was actually engaged to come in and help them establish a best practice delivery governance capability, as well as setting up a centralized function to assist them in the delivery and governance of projects and programs moving forward. So we needed to help them stand up a brand new function that would oversee all of the projects and all of the governance requirements associated with this particular function or this department. Now, to give you an idea, I think there was around 100 people involved in the department. So it is a quite substantial number of people. And they actually service so many other brands, as I mentioned earlier, that the complexity and the seriousness of getting this right is absolutely critical. And so we had to come in and just establish a model, establish a framework, and help put them in a position to assist them in their operating model moving forward. Their goals are to become a world-class payment services business, and our role was there to help them achieve that. The payment services team was led by the head of payments and the head of finance technology, both who were critical sponsors for this project for us. They were there to help create customer payment experiences that are simple, convenient, and efficient for Coles Groups and its customers, and ensuring alignment and support of the broader Coles purpose and strategy. So now that you've got a bit of a background of Coles Payment Services and understanding of what they do, let's delve into the challenge that was associated with managing this whole project and establishing this governance model. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there were so many significant changes that took place. Effectively establishing governance frameworks and models was quite fresh and quite new. They didn't have an existing project management office function or anything of that sort, although they did have remnants of governance and project delivery that they brought over. We had complexities and new requirements that arose as a result of the demerger. We had to take into consideration existing brands such as Target, Officeworks, and Kmart, who are all becoming effectively new customers now. Resource and leadership changes, the size, scale, and silo working culture, poor visibility and profiling of the newly established function. Now, because this function effectively became its own function within the Coles Group umbrella, it effectively needed to re-establish itself. And naturally, that was a key part of making sure it had continued success. With so much growth and so much change, I mean, when the function was not within the Coles Group umbrella, it was smaller. But coming into the Coles Group umbrella, it ended up being quite significant. So naturally, when you're growing, there's growing pains. And growing pains not just to delivery, but also the operations of the business. So the purpose of us running this project was to help them with those challenges. It was about helping them to find and establish a best practice delivery governance capability, and working very collaboratively with their team to support them in identifying what that would look like from ideation, where the front door of projects starts, all the way through to successful closure and into business as usual. We had significant complexities that we had to deal with disparate systems and tools, some remnants of process from the previous Coles Financial Services, and also some of the common challenges that you will find within any organization, particularly when they have lots of different governance functions and PMOs within their business. So our goal was to assist in standardization and establishing a centralized function that would help them with their projects and programs moving forward. Ultimately, it was to underpin the operating model of payment services into the future. So what did we do and how did we go about it? Well, now that we had the clear vision on what they wanted to achieve, and we were able to get that clarity by undertaking a significant review activity that involved over 30 different interviews with different people across the organization. And it also involved us reviewing significant amounts of data, running different workshops, and just undertaking what we like to call in our business a immersion. Using that information and our proprietary methodology, the AMO method, we deep dived to get a better understanding of all of the issues facing them. Now, just because we may have experience in project management offices or project management, it doesn't mean that the challenges that they're facing are things that we are going to say that we understand completely. We need to actually understand how it applies to them. I could say that you don't have a project scheduling function or you don't have good change control, but unless you understand the why and where the challenge is starting and ending and sort of where the impacts are and the different touch points, it's impossible to really be able to help resolve this. And that is why it's so critical for any project that we undertake is for us to do this review. Through the intensive review, we were able to collate over 300 actionable observations. Now, that's probably the largest number of actionable observations we've come up with in the last 4 or 5 years of business. And it was quite significant because, as I mentioned, there was a lot of complexities and challenges that they had, and also a lot of different perspectives and opinions on how to move forward. So using outputs from this assessment, we devised a plan of attack and we actually put it forward to the sponsors to get their support on the approach moving forward. Now, one of the things we did was we defined a minimum value proposition for them. What that means is we came up with a minimum set of requirements and defined what we expected to be able to deliver in order to meet those requirements. And that was our starting point. Because we didn't want to come in and say we're going to do absolutely everything and try to do it all at once. Everything that came out of the intensive review was tracked and well managed, and we had that information to trace back to all the way through the project. So once we identified those actionable observations and we went through some series of prioritizations, we then worked collaboratively and transparently with the Coles team members, and we utilized a series of different activities and engagement types, including virtual sprints, workshops. We also did undertake different types of reviews. We had drop-ins. We had a range of different things that enabled us to work with the individuals and the teams involved in those processes to make sure that they were part of the change. We also identified new issues and opportunities all the way through, and that continued to tie back to what we were trying to address. Now, we weren't changing everything we were doing throughout the process, but we were adapting as needed. We then also had a clear path as to what capabilities that we were going to define, and we needed to make sure that they were accurate. And the way we did that is by workshopping them with the relevant team members. Now, we wanted to keep the teams lean and agile, and so we defined virtual teams for each capability area, and we balanced the numbers and the client representation to ensure that we made quick, knowledgeable decisions. We empowered the individuals and we transferred our knowledge and capabilities throughout the approach. The AMO method is fundamentally centered around 3 C's: consistency, coordination, and collaboration. And we were making sure that we applied those 3 C's at all times throughout this engagement. As a result, we were able to build out the payment services governance framework. And this governance framework was absolutely end-to-end from the minute a requirement comes through all the way to how it goes into the business as usual and operational teams. We spoke and worked with HR, significant amount of time with HR. We spoke with accounts and finance teams. We worked with product teams, operations teams, and we worked with governance and risk teams. There was so many touch points that we had to manage, and it enabled us to quite successfully collate not only the feedback we were getting throughout the process, but also different metrics along the way from those areas. And that was what helped us to take stock of how well the teams were doing and the activities that were being managed as well. We like to seek direct feedback from customers, so we were collecting feedback every single week. And we did that through regular pulse checks. And we were able to consolidate all of that information into a single view. As a result of a significant amount of work by my team and the Coles teams, we were then able to build out the capabilities using our capability in a box solution. We were able to bring capabilities to the forefront, everything from project planning, scheduling, financial management, resource management, vendor management, which is not a typical project management office function as such. We were able to bring in governance, change, communications, so many different areas. Now, we focused on 13 core capabilities because they were the most pressing for this organization. We also continued to collate feedback throughout the journey and also undertook a number of different tangible and non-tangible feedback collation activities. We were able to demonstrate evidence with progress to people's issues and concerns and roadblocks, and we were able to do that with clear collaboration. The evidence by the end of the project was quite clear. We were able to not only demonstrate a significant upward trend in feedback, but despite the coronavirus pandemic, which in fact impacted us in the last cycle of activities that we were doing, and I might just touch on that. In the last cycle that we were about to kick off with this client, which started in March of 2020, we were ready to go, had done all the planning for the last cycle of activity, and then coronavirus happened. Now, at this point, Coles was very quick off the mark and sent most of their workforce home to work from home. Now, we had an open and honest discussion with the client and explained to them that we'd already built up momentum, and had we stopped at that point, we may not have been able to get that momentum back. Now, in March, we had no idea how long lockdown would take place or how long we would not be able to return to the office. In fact, as I speak this at the end of 2020, there are still many people, majority of people, not back in the office. And so we had an honest conversation with the client and were able to put forward and adapt to the change a slightly revised plan that enabled us to work completely remotely with their teams and actually still deliver the work. And we did that quite successfully. In fact, we found that over 73% of people responding to, or their staff responding to the surveys, found that positive impacts were experienced by the rollout of our framework. And over 90% of the 300 items identified at the beginning during our initial assessment were actually resolved. In addition to that, we were able to help streamline the process of engaging this payment services function and how requests came in to be addressed, which helped to lead their significant rise in NPS scores. And in addition to that, one of the most proudest achievements was when the head of finance technology called me to thank me and say thank you to the work that we did, helping them to increase their employee engagement satisfaction score by 15% in less than 12 months, which at the time was 8% above the Coles group-wide average. When speaking to the executives in charge of this project and those who engaged us, they had advised us that the work that we did would help them be put into a great position to execute efficiently as they moved forward towards their vision of becoming a world-class payment services business. They not only were very supportive of the work that we did, but also they were supportive of our pitch and our nomination to be awarded, be nominated to hopefully be awarded, and which subsequently we did. Now, one of the things I didn't mention is we are a small business. We've got less than 10 people working with us. And so to get an opportunity to work with Australia's second largest supermarket and deliver a program of work that resulted in the outcomes that it did was not an easy feat. In fact, The opportunity had arisen because of previous engagements that we had done with an executive who also worked within this organization. So it was all about proving ourselves in previous delivery work and then being able to provide an opportunity to do that again. Now, there was a lot of learnings that came out of this engagement. And this is probably, I would say, not only personally and professionally, one of my greatest personal achievements, but also as a team, we felt that we were able to empower the Coles Group team to not only be part of the change, but they were so supportive of the change because they were part of it. They were so prominent with their feedback. They were so open and transparent about the way that change came forward. And the other thing is as well that we didn't hide any of the negative feedback. Now, at the beginning and the outset of doing this project, there was a lot of skepticism, and that was going to happen. And it happens in every single engagement we do, or I think any company does. And if you don't have any skepticism at the beginning, then I would say that's probably not accurate. Why? Because there's always going to be people who are not convinced, or in this particular instance, have maybe gone through similar cycles with other consulting firms, or have had people that have come into the team and left, or whatever the case might be. But naturally, there's a predisposition to be skeptic about what is going to be. So we really had to make sure that our communications and change were really well thought out, and that we made sure that we were communicating in ways that suited the individuals and the teams that we were dealing with. Now, we didn't come in and say to the teams, this is how you need to do schedule management, and this is how you need to do reporting, or this is how to do financial management. No, it wasn't about that. What it was is about showing them and working with them to tease out ideas, their ideas shared with some of our experiences, and then coming up with the best outcome. Now, this particular project was an absolute whirlwind. We were working together for almost 2 years, and that afforded us multiple contract extensions because we were able to deliver incremental value. If I reflect on it and give any advice to any other consulting firms, I would say don't go in with everything up front, assuming that you want to come in and run traditional programs, and that is, quite large, lengthy programs, because that doesn't work as much. And in fact, I don't think it works really anymore because of this whole rise of Agile and the interest of incremental change. It's important to make sure that you are not only providing your clients optimal opportunities for feedback as you go, but also providing a way for them to dip their foot in the water and actually experience working with you before they take the plunge and say, we're going to be signing up for a 2, 3, 4 year contract or whatever it might be. It's really important that you do that. The other thing I will say that is often a missed opportunity for a number of organizations that come into a business and want to help them, and I've seen this firsthand, is they often ignore the team members and focus purely on the executives, the people that are paying their bills. That is not correct, because what you will do is you will alienate the team members, the people that are going to be there to help you make whatever it is you're trying to achieve successful. At the end of the day, as a consultant, you go into an organization and you make change and you leave. The team members are the ones that are going to be left with whatever it is that you have created or half created. So why wouldn't you want to make sure that they are comfortable and on board with what you're doing and working with you collaboratively? Doing so will enable you to drive that change that is going to not only see them through, hopefully for many years to come, but also be a reflection of the work that you did. So it's really important to think about not just the top down, but also bottom up, and bring those two together. I see myself and think about Agile Management Office as sort of the intersection between delivery and governance. And it needs to be the same when we think about the intersection between the executives and those that are working within the teams to deliver to the organization's strategic objectives. So overall, it was an absolutely rewarding opportunity. We will be sharing more information in our case study, as well as possibly going to be doing some events around this, and we'll be sharing some more insights and learnings. One thing I did want to say before we close off for today is that in addition to undertaking this piece of work, we also treated this whole engagement as a bit of a research project. Why did we do that? Well, we wanted to demonstrate that the Agile Management Office method, known as the AMO method, was going to be able to not only make significant improvements to the way this function worked, but was directly attributed to the method, and the changes before and after needed to be assessed as a result. So more information will be shared on that. So make sure you're connected with me on LinkedIn if you would like more information about our research project and the activities that we undertook to demonstrate the before and after of our engagement and how the AMO method helped us to get there. So all in all, it was a very, very rewarding experience. We have had so many opportunities to learn during this engagement, and I think that winning the Australian Institute of Project Management 2020 award for both Project of the Year and Professional Services of the Year was just the icing on the cake for us. So hopefully that has been helpful and you have been able to take something from today. I hope to share more insights in coming months as part of other initiatives that we are doing around this project. Hope you have been inspired with anything you've heard today, and I look forward to sharing with you more on reflections and lessons learned for myself professionally, and also my engagements with Agile Management Office and just learnings, life lessons and learnings this year. It's been a very, very tough year for most of us, and I hope to share some of my deep personal insights on that in our next episode. So stay tuned and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We welcome any feedback. Please let us know by going to www.agilemanagementoffice.com/agile ideas. You can also find us on most social media channels by searching Agile Ideas, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you for listening. Please share or rate this if you enjoyed it. I hope you've been able to learn, feel, think, or be inspired today. Until next time, what's your Agile idea?